Okay, welcome back to the Fletch Entertainment Network, or happy you're here. If you're watching this live, great, fantastic Friday night here. Otherwise, on demand, catch it. It's on Facebook, it's on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, give me a like and a share, please. I really appreciate it. And on YouTube, click on subscribe and click on the bells to get notifications for all the stuff we're doing here at the Fletch Entertainment Network. Nothing more greater than our second time around with the great John Chumack. He's there on the screen. How you doing, John?
Hey, Fletch, how are you, man?
Excellent, excellent. Appreciate the time. I know you're a busy man, and we're going to go over some of the things that keep you busy, but it's a labor of love, so I know it's something you really enjoy. So tonight we're going to be talking about some of the things that John does outside of his own personal astrophotography, is that he does tours for people who are photography enthusiasts of all kinds of photography, not just astrophotography. So let's just get right into it. We're going to show you his webpage, which is, I believe, right here. And that's his Galactic Images website, and which is galactikimages.com, obviously. And right at here, where Galactic Tours, right on the main page, you're going to see a number of the different types of tours that he does, and some other sites that he's been to and stuff where he's taking pictures. And his most closest coming up tour, which we're going to talk about a little bit tonight, as well as some others, is the Iceland Photo Tour. Is that correct, John?
That's correct, yep.
So if you click on the Iceland Photo Tour, you're going to come and see some descriptions about what's going to be going on in the Iceland photo tours. Some of the most beautiful landscapes, as well as wildlife, and just, I guess, destination type things that are in the world. That is, there's fantastic waterfalls. It says here there's Icelandic horses. There's a volcano right now that's actually erupting. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. Yes. And that's really exciting right now for everybody. A lot of people are heading that way to actually photograph it. And particularly if you're into the night sky, photographing live lava flows under a dark sky is fantastic. You can really get some beautiful starry shots with lava on the ground flowing. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So absolutely, it's one thing to see a volcano in the background. Now all of a sudden it's going to be spewing out stuff. So that's just
right.
That's just an added thing that you just don't see.
Yeah, it's really exciting right now to see that happening.
Absolutely. So there's itinerary right here for the Icelandic tour in August. Mm-hmm. And then there's also one for the November Aurora, which is more of an Aurora tour. Right. And I believe you said there's an opportunity to possibly see some Aurora in August in the twilight sky.
Yes, because we're talking about 10 o'clock is basically sunset in the summertime in Iceland, and 5 a.m. sunrise. So say by midnight to about 3 in the morning, you'll have about 4-hour window where it's twilighty sky, but the aurora shows up quite well underneath the twilight sky. So you'd be surprised. So as long as we have an activity from the sun and we continue to get, either CMEs or solar flares off in our direction, then we'll definitely be able to see them even in August.
Awesome. And then, of course, in November is more of an Aurora itinerary tour for Iceland.
That's correct.
And we'll talk about that, as well as you got some in Alaska, that is too. So you've been doing for quite some time.
Right.
So this right here is a hot link. If you click on that, you'll be able to download a PDF, which we have done for you for the show. So let me get that onto the screen, and there's a couple clicks here. And I believe this is it right here. Here we go. So that up, yep, you can see that.
Mm-hmm.
So here, this is basically the beginning of the PDF file that we just showed you can download. It's a beautiful waterfall. I mean, that is just a stunning picture all in itself right there, obviously.
Right.
And this has just all the information you're going to need to what your itinerary is going to be. We can go over that, as well as how to contact I think it's NATO, but it's not NATO that you'd think from a government standpoint. People like NATO, I got to call them. So
it's North American Tour Organization is what NATO stands for. But basically, they're out of South Carolina, and they've been doing tours to Iceland. In fact, the owner is actually Icelandic himself, and he lives here in the States, but he basically does tours throughout Iceland because he grew up there. His son actually leads the tours out there as well.
Okay.
And they have me come out to teach the photography, of course. And so
Awesome.
we have all native locals that will be taking us everywhere. So this is a it's very pampered tour. So we take you everywhere. We take care of everything pretty much.
Nice.
Your meals are mostly covered as well. You might be a couple of lunches that are not covered, but all the breakfasts, dinners, everything. So this tour covers pretty much it all. Only thing you have to really pay for, other than the cost to actually come on the tour, is your flight, which you can pick up from as little as $89 round trip to about $300 round trip. Depends on where you're coming from.
Sure,
but
sure.
They have specials all the time for Iceland. It's one of the cheapest places to fly to.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
And so you can see here in the beginning, it talks about, it mentions you, and it mentions the successful Northern Light tours that you've had in Alaska.
Right.
Some of the key points here: the Icelandic nature, the waterfalls, the hot springs, the volcanoes, the glaciers. I mean, that right there is 4 things or bucket list things. I mean, you might be able to see some hot springs in this country, but that's about it on that list. So, except for Alaska, and then some awesome wildlife, the whales and the puffins. I was reading some of this stuff about the puffins earlier, and they are really neat looking birds, very colorful. And I'll let you talk about them some more.
Right.
The Westman Islands, and I don't know how to pronounce that city. Is it Reykjavik or?
Yeah, Reykjavik. Yeah.
Okay, did a good job. I watch enough Olympics, I guess. So, and then you got the gourmet meals throughout, like you mentioned. So here we've got some more pictures, and then there's some more information about you. That's one thing that people may not understand. If they don't, is that you're going to be teaching them, just like Workshop City, on how to take fantastic pictures in this environment. So by the time it's over, they're literally the great shots they're going to have. They were going to have the pride of taking them themselves, which is absolutely amazing. Versus just buying them off of rag stuff. And look at that. That is just beautiful right there. That is stunning. Absolutely stunning. And so this is the tour guide.
This is Jan Mayer. He's one of my very good friends. I've probably known him for well over 30 years. And he is going to be the tour manager. So he's going to handle anything that you need while we're on the tour, the questions, all that stuff. I'll be taking care of the photography end of things and teaching you one-on-one. I'm going to have about 12 people that I'm teaching at any one time, and anything else that's needed during that time frame, Jan will be taking care of because some people are just bringing their spouse and they're not interested in learning the photography. They just want to come along to see the beautiful sights of Iceland. And there's lots to see, and it's really a once-in-a-lifetime type trip. So he's going to be handling a lot of the spouses and stuff that are going to be wanting to do other things while I'm teaching the workshops. And photographing. Now, granted, while they're there, I'm going to teach everybody if they want to learn, but if you don't have to come on the trip to learn the photography. It's something that you can do while we're there. That's why I'm there. It's just to teach you it.
Sure.
But some people just want to come for the trip and want to be pampered and taken care of. And that's cool too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such beautiful scenery. If you happen to, in a marriage, you got one person that's big time in photography and one that's not, but you still want to see the scenery. Yeah, you both go because you both enjoy it. One's getting a little more technical stuff out of it.
It's so worth it to see it together. It's an experience that you'll never forget. It's really something.
Oh, these pictures are just stunning, and these are just pictures in a PDF. It's nothing like seeing it and then taking a picture. There's no doubt. So there's your yacht, right?
Right. Well, that's how we get to the Westman Islands, actually.
Oh, okay.
So, and it's also we were mentioning the puffins and the beluga whales, which we'll be doing in August as well. And that, in fact, Iceland is the only sanctuary in the world that actually has belugas and puffin sanctuary. It's the only one in the world. So, and so to see them in their natural habitat in that setting and being able to photograph them is going to be phenomenal. And the little puffins, they're capable of diving and capturing literally 12 to 20 fish in one dive, and they come up to feed take to the nest. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, we'll see a picture here. I saw that, and I was trying to think to myself, I didn't get a chance to look. How big are these birds that they get that many fish at one time?
Yeah, they're on the size of a penguin.
Okay.
So that'll give you an idea. Yeah, a little bit smaller than a penguin, but
So
right
this is
about
kind of the beginning of the itinerary that you guys
hmm
can read through. Starts on August 7th,
right.
traveling to Iceland. It's
hmm
neat that I guess I don't know how many hours it is nonstop, but I guess you're going through the timeline
Right,
to
right.
get there
So
the next
it's not
morning.
that long of a flight, actually. I believe it's 3 to 4 hours,
But
and
but
it just
because you're
depends where
going
you're
in,
coming from. Yeah, if
right.
of course, you're for West Coast, it's going to take you a little longer.
Sure,
But
sure,
for most of us East Coasters or Midwest, it's pretty quick flight.
sure.
Yeah,
So you
and they
arrive
take the
and
Northern Passage, so it's shorter.
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
just right over the top.
yeah,
So yeah, so then you got your second day, which is actually the 4 hours later, whatever, when you arrive.
right,
Breakfast at the Viking World Museum. I mean,
right.
how many
Yeah.
people can say that except
Yeah,
people
well,
that go on
remember
these
that's the land
tours?
of the Vikings, and so
Yeah,
you get and there's some really amazing history there, U.S. and Icelandic history together, and it's
nice.
pretty interesting. You're going to be amazed. You're going to learn a lot of things about Iceland you didn't know about, and why they're one of our allies.
Oh yeah,
And so yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
an important one
and
at that. Yeah,
oh yeah, absolutely. One thing we were talking about is these sanctions are being pulled up everywhere. As of June 2nd,
hmm
Ohio, all the
right,
restrictions are gone.
right,
It's going to start snowballing, and I know some other things that I won't talk about, but where the restrictions are going. Some of the $300 are leaving from the.
right,
They're trying to get everybody to get back into work, but also allow them to get out and do vacationing. And
right.
so, and here you go. This is
The
one
perfect
vacation you can
vacation.
knock
Yep.
out all kinds of fantastic stuff in one shot, and you definitely have room on this
Yeah, I do
tour.
have room on the tour because this was recent. Weren't sure with the pandemic when we were going to be allowed to travel, and then Iceland just recently opened up. And as long as you have been vaccinated and you have your CDC card to vaccinate, you can get into the country without quarantine. So that's
Excellent.
yeah, fantastic.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
everything's opening up now. So don't be afraid to travel. That's it's going to happen. It's starting to happen now. Fortunately, my wife and I, and I had to be careful because my wife has been battling cancer for quite some time. So, of
Right.
course, I had to be really careful. But we're both vaccinated now, and everybody that I know is vaccinated. Everybody I work with, all that stuff. So it's all opening up, and we're going to be fine starting this
Excellent.
summer. Everybody should really consider traveling and going to see things because life is too short, and a lot of people lost their lives in this pandemic. And if you're
Unfortunately, yeah.
actually thinking about, oh, maybe I should go do this, you should, because you never know, you just never
Absolutely.
know how long you're going to be on this beautiful planet. And
No doubt,
that's,
no doubt.
and so I take every day and I don't take it for granted. I
Oh
try
yeah.
to accomplish what I can every day.
I hear you, man, because you just never know. So live it like you're not going to have it because you just don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
So I see here after the Viking World Museum, a nice breakfast, off to the Blue Lagoon for a 2-hour relaxing visit. That's got to be nice. The famous Blue Lagoon, which is nearby.
Right.
All this is the day one. Then you're
Right.
hopping on that beautiful yacht and you're
Yep.
going across to the Westman Islands,
Yeah.
which are just stunning. That's got to be
Yeah,
a
it's a
one heck of
beautiful
a view.
archipelago of islands right off the coast, and
Wow.
the
Yeah.
scenery is phenomenal. I mean, Iceland's scenery is phenomenal, but the Westman Islands is even better. And
Right.
not
Yeah.
many people do those tours over there, which it's a well kept secret. And luckily, I have the NATO guys. They know their stuff. They grew up there, and they know all the secret spots where we can get fantastic shots.
Sure.
And it's not inundated with a lot of tourism, so that helps for us because then we get the place to ourselves when we're teaching
Oh yeah,
photography.
nice. You're not fighting
Right.
monster crowds and
Crowds,
stuff. So,
right.
yeah.
Exactly.
So here's the I know now. Are these the pictures? Is this the
Yeah,
beluga whale?
this is
Okay,
the white beluga whales that you see them on the History Channel and Discovery
sure.
Channel and all that all the time when they're doing documentaries. But this is the only sanctuary in the world for belugas.
Wow, nice.
And then also same for the puffins are there too as well.
And the days. This is obviously the Monday, 2 days
Mhm.
after the itinerary starts. It's day
Right.
one of your photography workshop.
That's correct.
And look how long the days are. 5 a.m. to
Yeah.
10 o'clock. Wow.
That's what I was telling you. That's the,
Yes.
sunset sunrise time frame, and by time midnight it's darker, where it's twilighty. You can still see some stars in the sky and all that, but the aurora could be raging, and when it does rage, you can still see it against that twilighty sky, and it looks pretty phenomenal. It's great for photography because the colors balance
Oh, I
in it is
bet.
just unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah, there's so much difference being out there when it comes to pollution, let alone light pollution and all that. Just that you don't
Right.
have to worry about like you do over here, in the big land, if you will.
Right.
So yeah, and then the beautiful horses with the long hair.
Yeah. Yeah, they're beautiful. The Icelandic horses are known for their long flowing hair, and that's what makes them so photogenic. And both against the green, you see a lot of green moss in the summertime in Iceland. It's lichens and moss and stuff. So to see these horses with their long hair in that habitat, and then again later, if you do a tour in November, you see them against the snow.
Oh wow!
Phenomenal photography. Yeah.
Oh man!
It's just
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I saw this as it looked like an elephant before I
That's
realized it
right.
was called Elephant Rock. I'm like, hey,
That's
that
right.
does look like an elephant.
Yeah, and that's what but that's one of our targets we'll be photographing. It's a hit with everyone, so yeah, we
Sure.
always will be
And
photographing.
how giant is that? That looks,
It's huge.
yeah,
It's
it looks
very
huge.
large. In fact, it sits up above the town, so you'll actually see there's a small. The earlier picture showed a town, but it sits in the
Yeah,
background and it almost blends in with the rocks and stuff. So
right in
it's kind
here.
of yeah, right.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that'll give you an idea.
that is just beautiful right there. It's a little
Thanks.
town like that. Yeah, I bet that is just stunning to see in real life. Absolutely. And then here you go. Here's your
Yep.
volcano in the background. Of
Right.
course,
Yeah.
this
See
is
the
going to be
volcano in
an
the background.
active
Yep.
volcano
Right.
this time.
Right. Now, also, we have, well, this is on the Westman Island. Now, this is not the volcano that's actually active
Okay.
right now. There's another one that's active that's near Reykjavik, the town,
Okay.
the city we fly into
You fly in.
initially to
Okay.
get to Iceland. So it's not far from there, actually. It's pretty quick. It's about 20-minute buzz right up the road, and there's the active lava. So it's
Wow.
kind of cool. But this one here, though, since this is in the Westman Islands, this is the one that in I believe it was 1975 or 79, or may have even been 73. I'm trying to think of my dates. There's so many different eruptions I keep track of. But that one there actually erupted and covered most of the town. There are
Wow.
over 40 houses and buildings still sticking out of the solid rock from the lava
Amazing.
flow. They had to evacuate the entire town back then, and
Amazing.
it literally covered. So you talk about photographing lava flow and lava rock. Try photographing a house sticking out of part of the rock. It's pretty
Yeah.
amazing. So that's going to be a fun portion to photograph. Everyone enjoys that portion of it because the stuff the size and the massiveness of the lava around all these buildings is unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah, that's why I'm really excited about this trip because
Oh, sure.
it's stuff that you guys just don't normally see. No matter where you travel, you don't get all this amazing stuff, and of course them having the most incredible waterfalls in the world to photograph. And a lot of people are like, well, there's multiple ways to actually photograph waterfalls.
Okay.
Lots of different settings to do it and to come out with different results. And so this is where you really learn photography and time exposure. And it's not just, the aurora time exposure or night sky time exposure if you're a night sky person. But if you've
Right.
never done any of that, this is where you learn long exposure photography as well as with waterfalls.
So give us an idea of the scale of this right here. I mean,
Yeah.
if you were a person, could
You
I mean, how
talk
big
about,
are-
well, I'm trying to, something that's equivalent to it would be like, I don't know, have you been to the west rim of the Grand Canyon?
I have. I've seen it from the air. I flew
Okay.
over it one time, but I've never
Okay,
been to it.
well, it's not quite that deep, maybe about half of that for this,
Okay.
for this particular one.
But
But
that's
there's
just
a lot of
stunning.
there's so many different waterfalls, literally in Iceland. There's tons
Sure.
and tons of them. And the more popular ones where I was talking about being real touristy and all that kind of stuff, we're going to go to a couple of the big ones, but most
Right
of the
here.
ones I'm going to be taking you to there's not that many people there.
Okay.
So-
Nice.
But they're still just as beautiful and it's more
Oh.
pristine.
the color, like you said,
Yeah.
it's just stunning. I mean,
Summertime
the
is
green,
phenomenal.
oh,
This is where you get all this starkness in color. Because usually Iceland in the winter, in November, it's a lot of snow cover and ice. But
right.
that's where the ice caves come in. We change up subjects.
Oh,
So,
nice.
but the summer one is beautiful. If you've never seen Iceland in the summertime, this is definitely the August tour is the one you want to go on.
No doubt, no doubt. It's stunning and beautiful.
Yeah, here it is. You
Oh
can
my
see
gosh.
just the water runoff from all the glaciers and all that stuff. You
Oh
can see
yeah.
the black lava. I mean, the black sand there is in the riverbed that's left. It's all from black lava rock.
Right. Right.
But one of my favorite things, though, is actually going down to the what we call the Diamond Beach. And it's black sand beaches. Sometimes you have icebergs out on the water with the black sand beach. So the icebergs are sitting out there. But on the beach, look like a whole bunch of diamonds this size.
Oh wow.
And what it is, it's broken up blue ice. That's actually on and it makes phenomenal photographing subjects. I mean, you can do this from all different lighting angles. I mean, it's just amazing. So that's another thing you're going to have fun with learning,
Oh yeah. This is I mean, and then,
having us taken to you some of the things that you just never see around anywhere else around the world. So
I mean, here's a geyser. It looks like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Hot springs and geysers.
Shot.
That's and they have, just like us. We have Old Faithful here in the States.
Right.
Same thing there. They have a lot of them.
Nice. It's then a beautiful what's a young Icelandic Viking.
Yeah. And some of the meals and stuff is lamb and stuff like that too. This is just a photo of a young Icelandic kid who just loves his baby lamb.
This is something straight out of like Lord of the Rings or something, or
Well, this is where I was talking about. This is where you're going to be checking out the museum, and this here, you can see this architecture. And I don't want to spoil it for everybody. Wait till you get there, and you'll understand when we go to the museum and stuff. You'll understand why I say they're our ally.
Okay.
And an important one too and stuff. You'll learn all of the history between Iceland and the United States and all that. So
nice.
Pretty fun. Yeah.
Nice. And then
one of the hotels we stay at. Yeah.
A little more modern.
This is a wonderful
here.
concert hall there. Yeah, they're Harpa.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, especially lit up at night. It's really pretty.
Yeah, we'll get against the lake there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, killer whales, is that what those are?
Yep. That's another thing that we see especially when we're taking the ferry out to the Westmans. You're going to see that the dolphins as well. We'll see humpback whales. It just depends on the time of year or two, and lots to see.
That looks like a pretty massive.
That's a big one.
There. Yeah. Wow. I mean, just when you thought, you can't get any more than just it just gets.
The names are hard to pronounce. That's one thing I still to this day cannot pronounce a lot of the names of the waterfalls, and even just the Icelandic languages. It can be very difficult to pronounce properly.
Sure.
And they just all laugh whenever I mess up the name, but it's good. They realize that it's we're really appreciative though of the resources that they have on Iceland as far as the natural resources. They're so beautiful.
Now look at this. This is a puffin you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. You can count at least a dozen fish in that beak.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm sitting there going, okay, how big is this bird? Because how big are those fish? But it's beautiful color.
Yeah.
And what a great picture.
And those fish are like the size of minnows and stuff. So that'll give you an idea. But they're about the size of, they're just a little shorter than a penguin. And
they can handle the ice as well as the grass.
You see them sometimes. You see them on little icebergs and stuff hanging out. But they're very agile. You'll be surprised. They can bounce around on the rocks quite well. I mean, like you see, I'm talking rocks that are big boulders like this. It could be covering the whole beach, and you're like, how that little bird can get around on those. But they're very agile in the rock and the shore.
So all the information you need, and and certainly if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments in here, and we will certainly get them to John if it's after the show, if it's during on demand or whatever, because we certainly want you to have all the information that you need to make an informed decision. But I mean, as much as I want to go to Star Wars World and Disney World, that certainly looks like it's a. I don't know if my kids will appreciate much as I would, but that's a tour I would go on in a
nice.
heartbeat, because that's just some beautiful landscape. My kids probably later in life would enjoy that.
Well, they love the
appreciate
wildlife
it.
for sure. Most kids would enjoy seeing a lot of the wildlife and stuff.
Right,
And
right.
even just the scenery, the sheer massiveness of it.
Yeah, and all scattered through there we didn't really talk about it much, but you guys are really eating at some very fantastic, unique places with some unique
Right.
food.
Foods,
So
yeah.
that-
Yeah. So, yeah, you'll learn. I mean, some things, you might not like, some things you will. I mean, it's just the Icelandic food, some of it's acquired taste, but others are very good. You'd be surprised. It will,
Sure.
So never turn anything down based on how it looks or how
Yeah.
it smells for that matter, too.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
you
I mean,
try it because
Oh,
you'll be
yeah.
surprised on how good the cuisine is.
Yeah, but at some point after I turned 40, I got to a point to where I'm like, if I'm somewhere where I know the chef has done something that's it's not your McDonald's, Wendy's ish, then I'm like, give me what the chef does, and I'm going to try it the way he does it, versus
Right.
picking at and all that. It's just it's a more of an acquired, and it's amazing how much more food you can open up to when you're a
Right.
little more open to.
Trying
it's
something
not-
new. Yep.
Yeah, it's not like Bizarre Foods, the TV show,
Right,
but
yeah.
certainly that
And I
guy's
love Andrew
really way
Zimmerman,
out there.
but I tell you, he's pretty amazing. I love that show, but pretty much, you just give it a try, And there's other options available too. It's not like you're going to be stuck with raw fish or something like that, every
Sure,
night for
sure.
dinner. I mean, we have a lot of different options. So, but yeah, definitely the August one's coming up. I think we have probably about half full right now. So there's still room on it, and I'd love to have a full class. 12 people.
Sure.
And you can bring your spouse. They don't have to actually be participating in class. So I can take up to literally 25.
Right.
Because
Yeah, the
we
12
have these
is like the
vehicles.
workshop participants.
Yeah, these are all terrain vehicles with large wheels that go over lava rock and all that. So that's
Wow.
our ride for the entire time that we're on the Westmans and also for on the mainland. And
Okay.
so that's how we get around. We have a chauffeur, literally takes us everywhere and stuff, and we have guides and they explain all the different history of Iceland and stuff. So you're going to learn a lot. So it's a lot of fun. And I'd love to have a full class for it. So feel free to sign up. You can contact Ado, call. Basically, the number is going to be on the PDF, and
Yes.
you can fill out your information and send it in however you want to do it. But I would call them and talk to them to get any more specifics, or you can just email me. You can contact me that way, and I can try to answer the questions best I can for you. And but they'll have all the logistics more for you. So if you need more logistics, like the best place to fly out of, things like that, they can fill you in more on that, depending on where you live here in the States.
And no matter where you are in the world, you can get to this place. If you're watching this
That's
on
right.
the internet and you're somewhere, it's not just for people on the East Coast of the United
Right.
States. This thing's for anybody and everybody interested. There's no doubt about
That's right. And and when I say it's a photography tour of Iceland, I mean it's photographing everything. And I don't mean you have to be a professional photographer either. In fact, most of my tours that I've been doing for the last 10 years in Alaska and in Moab, Utah, and other locations around the world, they all have probably 80% beginners and maybe 20% pros.
Okay.
And even the pros learn stuff because the cool thing about it is everyone is so welcoming and so wants you to learn how they do things, but they want to learn how you do things too. So you guys share and you actually come away fully rounded because
Right.
you have so many different skills levels in the group. And so don't feel intimidated if you're like, a beginner or never even held a camera before, because I can tell you right now, I have probably well over 150 brand new beginners that are expert Aurora photographers now.
Nice.
They
nice.
go on my trips multiple times now. They just love coming on it because they always learn more and more stuff.
Yeah.
Because I try to go away from just Aurora. I want them to learn other aspects of photography.
Sure. And I can attest to the fact I've known John for a little over a decade, or actually almost 2 decades now. Time really flies. I wasn't even married when we met. Now I'm married, got 2 kids and a dog and a house. But He's excellent at explaining things in terms that everybody can understand, not knocking it down to us lay people, if you will. And he's a perfectionist, so he's not going to crack your knuckles to make you a perfectionist, you know. But I mean, so you can just go through his gallery on his website and see his work, and you can understand the amount of time that this man has poured into his craft. He's excellent at it. He's very well known throughout the world, and he's published all the time. You can see all that on his website. You can watch. We did a video a while ago. You can watch it on the Fletch Entertainment Network. Kind of talks more about him and what he does and everything. So you're going to get some fantastic instruction on top of all that wonderful scenery and all that wildlife and all the experience of a lifetime, the whales, I mean, it's just, that just sounds like a fantastic deal. There's no doubt about it.
And I make some really good, lifelong friends from these tours because I'm spending an entire week with you, literally teaching you night and day. I mean, everything that I can teach you. And we laugh a lot. We have a lot of fun, good times and stuff. And these are memories that we build. And then I increase my family basically because they're all like family to me, you know, because I've spent so much time with you doing what we love, and that's photographing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you're thinking about it, definitely nudge yourself in that direction, because I can't imagine anything better if you're a photography enthusiast. And even if you're not, any of that looks good. It's like, oh my gosh, go.
Yeah, you don't want to photograph? That's okay.
Yeah.
But I'll take some photographs and I'll give you some so you can take them home with you and show your friends and family. That's okay too. Just come along. You'll have a fun. You'll enjoy the trip because there's so much to see and do, and a lot of unique things that you don't get to see other places in the world.
Sure. So you do also do Iceland in November as well as Alaska in the spring, and those are a lot more Aurora.
Right, that's based. Geared like 100. I won't say 100% Aurora because we're still photographing. We do the ice caves. Like we'll go in, you know, in November it'll be cold enough, everything starts freezing up, you know, the glaciers and all that. So that'll be fantastic. We can kind of go in there. So there'll be some waterfalls that will still be flowing. So you can still do waterfalls in the winter, which kind of looks cool with a lot of the snow on the ground. But we do the ice caves, which is the lighting in there is just unbelievable. So so that's the fun part too. You also see wintertime, you tend to see more icebergs on the ocean. So that's another nice thing too, for photographing from any of the beaches and stuff. So it's a little different than the summer because summer is more green and warmer temperatures and, you know, a lot more water flowing and the geysers and all that. But the November one definitely is more geared towards the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights. And I'm going to teach you about the Aurora, how it works, and how to actually predict it for yourself using NASA data and NASA sites and stuff. I teach you all that and how it works, how the energy comes from the sun and hits the Earth's magnetic field and forces it down into the poles to the regions that we're seeing, like Iceland and Alaska and Norway and so forth. So I'll teach you all that so that you can bring that information home and be able to predict it for yourself, because believe it or not, we get Northern Lights. And I have a poster on my website called Ohio's Northern Lights. And these are like 16 of my best ones just from a 10-year period alone, from 91 to 2001. And you can see all the different auroras we've had here in Ohio. And it goes as far south as Florida. So I don't want to hear that, oh, well, never. Well, it does. It actually goes that far south. But it doesn't happen very often. But when it does, it's phenomenal and everyone can see it. But, you know, that's typically once or twice in a 10-year period, you might get it to go that far south. It just depends on the solar activity. Now, the sun coming up in July of 2025 is the next solar maximum. And I've been watching the sun because we're pulling out a minimum now and we're starting to get more sunspot activity and all that. And this is how I keep track of when there's a possibility for some energy, because you can cross the border, go up into Canada and see it almost on a nightly basis, depending on what part of the solar cycle we're in, you know?
Right.
But it does happen here in the States. But Iceland, all those northern places are famous for a reason. and it's because the aurora is quite frequent there.
Sure.
A lot more frequent than here in the U.S.
Oh, absolutely. Let's show a little video clip. It's not very long, but it's a beautiful clip to kind of give you an idea of what you were going to see in an aurora. We'll come back when it's over. It's just a minute or two, I think. It's not very long at all. We'll talk about that. So let me play that one right here. It's actually a lot less than a minute or two. But the one thing I noticed about that, and some people who are into astronomy can pick up on it, when you're doing the time lapse of the night sky, like especially star trails and things you see the stars really going across because it's like many hours.
Right.
That wasn't moving very much. That was a very short time frame and have all that aurora activity. That was pretty spectacular.
Thanks. Yeah, it's really fantastic, and because the sky is so dark most of the time when the aurora is occurring, you got to remember most of the time this is after 10 o'clock at night to about 4 or 5 in the morning. So the sky's fairly dark. You can see the Milky Way. You can see all the brighter stars and star clusters. I think in that last shot the video you just played, there was Venus and also the Seven Sisters, Pleiades were moving together. Down. So planets really show up super bright out there. But yeah, it's really cool to see. But one of the things I don't know if you recognized in the video was, of course, my students are all walking around. Changing their compositions throughout the entire thing because the aurora is fast moving. It's changing constantly. Wow. Sometimes it moves real slow. Other times it ripples so fast you can't keep up with it. So, but if you notice the ground, the snow changing colors, that happens a lot. And so you're so busy looking up at the sky, but you're not looking at what the aurora is doing in your environment around you. And so it's kind of, so you can see that in the videos as well. So
like, most of the time and down here, when you got a snow covered, nighttime as black as it gets, of course, we're talking city, you can still see, and on moonlit nights, obviously, we know what the moon does. So if you don't have a moon out and you're out there, even if it's snow, how dark is it? Or,
well, even with snow, what's happening is your eyes are getting dark adapted to the point that starlight provides you enough light.
Okay.
Just starlight alone to walk around, especially if there's snow on the ground, because it's reflecting a lot of ambient light from the natural sky glow. There's a thing called the natural sky glow. It is above background. So it bounces off that snow and it allows you to see. It takes about 30 minutes for the average eye to actually fully dark adapt if you're not hit with a white light or anything like that. And so out there, we try to use red lights whenever we can, but we even try to not use any light at all because the red lights can light up the snow and give you red snow in your photograph, in your natural scene, and you don't want that. But in some cases, you have to use it just to get your settings set. But we try to, if you've got other people that are shooting the same or similar scene, we don't recommend you turn it on. And you just got to look around you. So it's just common courtesy. Look around you, make sure nobody else's, you're not going to ruin someone else's shot with your red light. But we do that in the beginning, and by usually the second or third night, everyone is so comfortable with their cameras and their settings and knowing what they need to do that it's never a problem. It never really is. We come away with some really nice stuff. I don't know if you can see in this background picture, but you can see some red on the snow here and all that.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Reflecting. The aurora gets so bright, it'll reflect off of signs. It'll reflect off of ice in the road. There's green in the center of the road on the ice there.
I got goosebumps right now but the aurora is absolutely, it would be hard for me to choose right now because all that stuff in Iceland looks so phenomenal.
Right.
And if I have already seen Aurora, I'd do that right off the bat. But I want to see Aurora so bad, I might have to do the other one first. But yeah, it's just it's a huge bucket list, and it's I know there's times, but yeah, you got to go on one of these just to knock it all out. And how many days you up there? 7 days?
7 days. Yeah, most of the tours are always going to be 7 days long. Okay. And and usually, and we're always successful with it. I mean, I've never gone up there and never not seen the Northern Lights. We always see them.
Awesome.
And what happens is as the first 2 or 3 nights, everyone's just getting up to speed,
Right.
getting their shots and getting their compositions down pat and all that. And luckily we get it every night. So that's how active the Aurora is. It's literally every night up there in both Alaska and also Iceland and Norway. So when you have this every night, Aurora, now there are different intensities each night. So some nights it'll be super bright. Other nights it'll be dim and you barely see it with your eye, but then the digital cameras or film will actually record it. So,
Okay.
And that's kind of nice because it gives you some practice of adjusting your settings so that hey, based on what you're seeing, you can actually adjust for it in your camera and still make it look like it was just as bright as the night before, kind of thing. And it just takes playing around with your settings. And after the first 2-3 nights, even the beginners are pros at it now, and they're coming away with some phenomenal shots.
Nice.
What I love is when they all look at their images for the first time on the laptops the next night, and or the next day just before dinner, we all sit down and kind of go through this, and it's like looking at everyone's images, and they're like, "Holy crap, man! I didn't realize I got it that good." It's
wow.
Yes, it's and that I love to see that smile, that joy on their face when they actually realize, "Wow, look at this! This is the best shot I've ever taken," and that's. For me, that's awesome. I just want them to go away with the best shots they can do, and I will help them do that. And no amount, you can't bug me enough. I mean, this is my element, so you can't bug me enough to actually, don't feel like you're intruding on my time or anything. I'm there for you, and that's why I'm doing this. I want you guys to come away not only with that experience, but also become a really good photographer. So when you are home and this happens, you can record it instantly, show all your friends and family. Plus, you're taking images home to show your friends and family, and hopefully someday they'll come back and come with you.
Sure, absolutely.
And you guys get to have a family experience, and there's nothing better than that.
Oh yeah. Let's watch another video real quick, some more Aurora, and we'll talk about that. So let's watch this one. Again, the sky is barely moving. The stars, which just shows you what short of a time frame and all that activity. And that's going on. Does that go on I know it increases and decreases, but is that all night? I mean, it's just,
and actually, most of the time, what happens is, that's one of the things that about my tour. Even though it's 7 days long, and usually if we're hitting it every single night, usually by the third or fourth night, some people start to get tired. Because we're up and we're imaging, and you force yourself to stay awake to watch it because you don't want to miss anything. And they're all just, and what ends up happening is it gets a lack of sleep. So by the end of the tour, you're ready to go home to sleep. It's pretty much because that's exactly how it is. It's always for long periods of time. And this is why I can't stress enough. I send you a list whenever you sign up for my tours anyway. Once I know you're booked and ready to go, we actually send you an entire list of clothing recommended, things like that you should bring with you so you can stay comfortable. All the extra batteries. You always carry your batteries close to your chest in your coat pocket so the cold doesn't zap your batteries so you can keep shooting longer. Things like that. So all these tips and tricks, that all tells you the recommended boots, clothing, jackets. Number one thing though is your undergarment, and that is your thermals. Okay.
Yes.
They got to be level 4 Arctic thermals to stay nice and comfortable, warm. And they're inexpensive. You can get them pretty much anywhere, any sporting goods store. But that base layer is the most important part of you staying warm and being comfortable all night. And once I find it, if everybody does that, everyone is comfortable and nobody's freezing, they're actually having fun. They're and plus their adrenaline's flowing too, so they'll never get cold. This is you actually watch the aurora. Because that's one of my number one things I think questions I get is, oh, I don't like the cold. Even my wife, she can't stand the cold. She won't even go on a trip because she can't stand the cold. But I keep telling her all she got to do. I look at all these. I see so many women come on the trips that were, and I had one lady from Bangladesh, and their average temperature is 120 degrees. And her family thought she was crazy to go on a trip up north for the Northern Lights. Well, guess what? She came and she dressed accordingly and perfect, never had a problem. Nice. And so even people that are not used to the cold, you gotta just take the little list that I give you and take it seriously and just go through and make sure you bring those things. It will make your life a lot easier. Right. And you'll enjoy the entire experience, no problem.
Heed the advice of the professionals and the experience. Because the last thing you want to do is get up there and all of a sudden you're so uncomfortable because you're so cold in a certain area and it's too late to do anything about it. So, yeah, absolutely. Right. Like you said, it is going to be cold. But if you do what John says on his list and make sure you get all the right stuff, you'll be fine and you will just have a wonderful time, a wonderful experience. Awesome.
Now, the worst case scenario that we've had in 10 years of doing this was minus 20 for all night long for like all week. Wow. It was like that. And my crew were so well prepared, it didn't matter. Everybody was fine. It was just like as if it was, only 5 degrees or 10 degrees out. The main thing is that base layer. So as long as you have all that and then the other layers, you're fine. And should never be an issue with cold. So I don't, people ask that question. I said, if you just dress for it, you'll never be cold. That's all you got to do.
Exactly.
And we unfortunately everyone's heated it and we never really have. I think I had one person in that entire time that didn't come up. She came up from Florida and she didn't come prepared with the level 4 thermals. So I went into Walmart and bought her a pair and put it on her. So, let her put it on and took care of that situation because I don't want anybody being cold. It's miserable if you're cold. So just do the instruction that I send you as far as the clothing and you'll always be fine.
Awesome. So you are a master, sir. There's no doubt about it. But it's I commend you because you're doing stuff you love. And we both know just as astronomers, the night can never last long enough. When you're out there on a clear sky and you're just like, there's not enough time. It goes too quick, no matter what. I had the luxury of being able to go with John this past summer, almost a year ago, out to capture a comet. And it's my first comet that I ever took a picture of, but it was his guidance, and he shot me a personal message, meet me here at an undisclosed location, and so we could keep it on the down low. And it was great. And I enjoyed it. And I had a big smile on my face. I went right to work with it. I think I took well over 100 pictures, and I plugged it right into the computer at work, and I'm looking at all of them, and I have it as my wallpaper. It was just a great night for me on my first comet with the tail and everything, and I couldn't have done it without him. And that was a very easy thing to get by his standards, and it was a very easy thing to teach me to do. It was so quick, but it's amazing how if I didn't know, I would have never got it because I've tried to take comets before, and it never works out. So now I got the knowledge just of that one thing. So
that's a once in a lifetime thing. You just did. You just captured a comet because that comet won't be back in our lifetime. So that'll get So those are the kind of cool things that you can do. You can and just get out there and try to learn something new. And during this pandemic, it was, I'm so glad it was like an escape, me and you getting out to do that. For me, I got tied up here at home. I couldn't travel, couldn't do none of the tours. All of them had to be canceled. And granted, nobody wants to die, but at the same time, we still had to I had to postpone all my tours off for future years. Luckily, everybody's still going. We're still going to go, but it's not now opening up. And I just started this Iceland August one. So that's kind of why I'd like to get the tour full. I've got about half of it full right now. So, but if I could get more people to come, that'd be great. And then that one there we'll have a blast in the summertime doing all those other things with the sanctuary, with the belugas and the puffins, and also seeing the live. Hopefully, the volcano's still active by that time too. It should be.
Yeah.
It's still happening right now, so I'm guessing it's not going to die down anytime soon. Usually, that type of activity lasts almost a year, so I think we should be okay for both August and November for seeing lava.
Nice. And if you are interested in the Aurora tours, either one of them, they may be booked or something because of the pandemic, you're backlogged. But like you said, get your name on the waiting list because you never know what happens to people who all of a sudden things change and they can't go, and you get bumped up the waiting list. Next thing you know, hey, you're in and you're going a lot earlier than you thought you would have been. So it's definitely worth doing that if that's something you really. And I understand the Aurora is a little special for me, but that Icelandic tour in August looks awfully good too. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Yeah, so those are the like August and November. I do a one in March in Alaska as well, but but of course you're going to probably have to wait for that one because
that's the big one.
We had to move the ones that we already had booked several years out. We had to move them. So but you can get on the wait list for that one, for the last one if you like. If you don't feel like leaving the country, that's another thing. But it's going to be a couple years before you can probably get on it. But get your name on the list because you never know. Because we get calls for cancellations last minute, whatever the reason. We just go down our list and get the next person, and they just get to go a year earlier.
Right, so. Exactly. So if it's something you want to do, get your name on the list, and if nothing else, you'll be there when your name pops up, if not earlier. So you never know. So well, John, I really appreciate it. I want to do this one more time, like we talked about, for your Galactic Images. This is basically the homepage, and you can just peruse all this. You can spend hours perusing his gallery of things, his information, as well as the publications, the pictures. You can even shop if you want something here. But get into the tours, and the one coming up this August, where there's it's about half full, so there's plenty of room.
Right.
That's just for the workshop people. Obviously, you're bringing a spouse or something. There's no problem with that.
Yeah, there's no problem with that. Yeah.
Hit the photo tour. A lot of information, and that top one right there is the one for August. This is the one for November. So get the right PDF, and all the information you need will be there in that PDF, for you to be able to contact whoever you need. And if you have questions, you can contact, I know John through that. NATO on the PDF has the information for NATO and all that. So. Yeah.
And the guy who owns NATO, his name's Ingo, and he's a really good guy. And he's native Icelandic, and he's really good at this. He's been doing this for a long time. He does a lot of other tours too, not just like the one I'm mentioning here, or the August or the November one, but he does a lot of other tours too. And he's also part of a big quilting group too that does tours, where he gets the quilters from around the world together for these tours too. They all do their own thing, these special tours he does. So there's lots of different things he does. So he's the guy you want to talk to if you need to talk to somebody personally about the logistics and stuff while you're there. So just you can call NATO. They have a phone number, or you can email him as well. His email's on that PDF, and we'll get you all taken care of, get you set up, and I'll see you guys in Iceland.
Absolutely, and it will be an experience of a lifetime. There's no doubt. Some very beautiful scenery, the animals, the little towns, the food. I mean, it's a conglomeration. I'm already tired thinking about it. I'm not even there. So, again, John, I appreciate it. You make my day when you make time for me, and I will always make time for you whenever I can. I look forward to maybe doing some night skies with it here in the near future this summer. And I want to get a look at that supernova. That's something we talked about.
Speaking of which, I just shot that last night. Well, not last night.
Before.
Last night I slept because I was so dead tired. The night before last, I was out pulling an all-nighter. And I wasn't feeling well either. I just, I have allergies, so it was just kicking my rear for sure. But I just said, hey, you know what? I got to get that Nova because it just brightened to 5.5 magnitude. It increased by 2 magnitudes in a couple days.
In a couple days, wow.
Yeah, because I had shot it earlier, a week or so earlier, and I was like, oh, I got to go back and shoot this thing. So last night I shot it, and I got a fantastic shot.
Nice,
Because
nice.
not only did I get the Nova, but I got M52 Open Cluster with the Bubble Nebula nearby too. So all
man.
three are in the same photograph.
Nice.
So
That's
it came
going
out
to be
very
awesome.
nice. Yeah, I'm looking. I'm going to be probably posting that to my blog this weekend. But yeah, it's that Nova is naked eye now. It's 5.5 magnitude. So
Oh man, is that
take a pair of binoculars, you'll see it real well.
Oh, I got 10 by 70, so I might do that.
Yeah.
How when does that come up at night in our territory?
Well, it's got to be morning because
Morning, okay.
Cassiopeia is low on the horizon.
That's right,
I shot it between 4 and 5 a.m. And then you start getting twilighty because, of course, the longest day of the year is approaching. It's coming up in June. So yeah, we're definitely we'll get twilighty sky, but it's still low in the northeast. Look for a constellation of Cassiopeia, and you'll see the W. It'll be sitting in the sky, low in the sky, and then you're just going to go, I don't know, probably 4 degrees off of the end star in Cassiopeia, and you'll see it. It's a star that doesn't belong. You'll be able to tell.
Sure. Any idea how bright those ever get? I mean,
this is the brightest nova I've seen naked eye.
Wow.
I haven't seen one get this bright before, so that's interesting. I had one that I shot that was NASA's astronomy picture of the day that I had shot back. It was called a recurrent nova, and it had brightened, but not to this brightness. I think it may have gotten to 8th magnitude, but this thing's gotten to 5th or 5.5. It's pretty bright.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
I was surprised.
I'm looking forward to seeing
it. And let me say, for those who don't look at the night sky, when I say bright, that's bright to us astronomers, because a 5.5 magnitude star you can barely see with your eye from a dark location. Okay, but you put a pair of binoculars on it, then you can definitely tell. Now, to the normal person, it's going to be one of these dimmer stars, much dimmer. So I don't want you going out looking, thinking, yeah, it's going to be the brightest thing up there. No, those are known stars. But it is a star that wasn't that bright before, and it was very dim. In fact, I don't even know if they found the original progenitor of which star it was yet. I've got to go research that and see what they found out initially. But I was shocked to see that it jumped 2 magnitudes that quick.
Yeah, I saw a funny cartoon one time, a little two thing cartoon, 2 pictures or whatever, where the guy's like, so this is M13. It was discovered in blah, 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 blah. And then there's a female. She's like, so what am I looking at? He goes, the white fuzzy. That's what my wife always does. It's a white fuzzy. I'm like, honey, it's not a white fuzzy. Okay. In my scope, it's a white fuzzy, but whatever. So.
Right.
Okay.
Well, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate you let me get out there and tell everybody about this new tour I'm doing in Iceland here for the summer and stuff, and also about my November one as well. And then, and of course, it's always fun seeing you, talking to you.
Oh yeah.
And we got to get together again and do some astronomy. Get out there.
I'm into it. We got.
So there's this the restrictions. All the restrictions are starting to be lifted like June 2nd or something. Is that correct?
In Ohio, June 2nd, all the restrictions from the state are completely lifted. So it's just going to be a matter of companies, if they're going to lift their own or they're going to have their own. I did hear.
Right.
I don't want to throw any names out there, but there's a grocery store chain that's pretty prominent in the area that's thinking about keeping some stuff. So, but that's probably a little safety for their workers. So I get that a little bit, So, but hopefully we're talking restaurants and just outside. Just open everything up. Let people just get out going. So many people are vaccinated. Hopefully more people get vaccinated, and life will be returned by the end of the summer. Life is normal. If not before, that'd be fantastic.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and at least Iceland's opened up now, so we can all go there. As long as you've been vaccinated, we're good to go.
Yeah, absolutely, and I have. So me and my wife went the same day, and I got Pfizer. She got Moderna. We didn't have a choice, so we just the way it was. So, all right. Well, I want to end this with I'm going to repeat the one video so people get the closing with the music and the Aurora. And we will see you guys all next time. Lots of things going on the Fletch Entertainment Network, so definitely look on Facebook and YouTube at all I got going on, and give me likes and shares on Facebook and subscribe, and the bells on YouTube. I really appreciate it. John, I certainly appreciate it. And hang on for our after talk. So
sure.
Glad you guys are with us. Enjoy it. And if you get to go to that if you get to go to John's tour and you saw this here, I would definitely appreciate you dropping me a line sometime and let me. That'd be fantastic. It'll make my day. So, and I know it'll make John's day too, just to get some more people going. Thanks. So it'll be awesome. So thanks again, and we'll see you guys next time.